So I'm glad that everyone is here right now. Maybe someone will come that later. So today we will stick to the Article 44 to 46. Yeah, we will discuss the buyer's right when the seller did not perform his contractual duties. So we look into the 44, Article 44. Yeah, Article 44 is buyer's right to claim price reduction and the damages when he fails to notice the nonconformity. So, according to the Article 739 and 43, the buyers has a duty to inspect and notice the seller in case of the good is not conform. So it combines with the right of the buyer to claim nonconformity. Yeah. So, but Article 44 softened the rule, yeah, softened the effect that look to the Article 44, notwithstanding the provision in paragraph 1 of Article 39. Article 39 is when a buyer inspect and found the defects and notice in reasonable time to the seller. And Article 43, yeah, the same article, the same meaning. The buyer may reduce the price in accordance with the Article 50 or claim the damages, except for loss or profit if he has the reasonable excuse for his failure to give the required notice. Yeah, it means the buyer never gives a notice, but he is also entitled to the right, yeah, under the CSG. Yeah. So we can look into the purpose. Yeah, everything we will start with purpose. The purpose is to soften the effect that buyers fails to make notice of the nonconformity. Yeah, and according to Article 39, prescribe the buyer's duty to notify the seller of the nonconformity within due time. And Article 43, if a buyer fails to do so, he loses the right to claim the nonconformity. So it's a very strong duty that buyers has to do to inspect and notify when there is a nonconformity. But the failure of timely notice of nonconformity, but the buyer still has a right. Yeah, in case the buyer has a reasonable excuse. Yeah. So yeah, if the buyer has a reasonable excuse, so he still has a right to claim price reduction, claim damages, but the damages and the price reduction does not include the loss of profit. So we have to, yeah, maybe the group A or B will tell us what means the loss of profit. The loss of profits means something you can gain from the reselling. For example, you purchase the goods from the buyer, or buyer purchase the goods from the seller with a unit of 100, and you expect to resell that products to your customer with the price of 150. So the 50 is the loss of profit. The seller does not respond, does not have the obligation to pay this loss of profit. And then the buyer is still subject to the 2-year period of notice. We have discussed this 2-year notice last year. That means this 2-year notice means the buyer has to make the notice within the 2 years after the goods is delivered. So it can be taken as the 2-year as a guarantee, a product guarantee of the 2-year in international transaction. Yeah, so it's still valid. This 2-year period is still valid. Even the buyer has not made the notice. Okay, so the non-conforming notification still need to be done within the 2 years. So beyond 2 years, the right of the buyer still being invalid. Okay, then we look into Article 38, the buyer's duty to inspect a good in a timely manner. The duty to timely inspect still applies, and the failure to timely inspect loses the right to price reduction. So we can later to look into the Cloud 230, the German steel film. So it's an interesting case that um, you have the buyers still have the duty to inspect. Yeah, only the not able to inspect due to a reasonable reason that prevent the buyer to doing so. And Cloud 230 is a German steel film. This case fails to inspect the durable goods within the 2 to 3 days. So in this case, it's a durable goods is something that you can find out the problem very easily. And the buyer haven't found the defect within 2 to 3 days. Actually, he found it 1 week later, so he cannot claim damages. The damages in this case is cleaning expenses. And for the reasonable excuse in this case, yeah, the buyer, yeah, it's a advantage to the buyer. So buyer bears the burden of proof. And the reasonable excuse shall be determined in subjective perspective that looks into the buyer's side. If you are the buyer, can you notify the seller within the due term? Yeah, so that is I think it's very interesting that sometimes can helps the buyer, yeah, to recover his right, maybe the reduction of price or some other right like damages. Okay.